Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to another episode of the Engine Room podcast by Token Metrics. Today is Wednesday, October 20th, 2021, and what a day it is for crypto. We're waking up this morning to news of Bitcoin crushing all-time highs. As we speak to you right now, Bitcoin is trading around $65,000, a little bit above, and we're in price exploration territory for BTC right now. It's an exciting week to be in crypto. Want to give shouts out to Bill, Forrest, and Jacob for joining us. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hi, how you doing?
Hanging right in there. Guys, what do we need to know about BTC all-time high? Obviously, this is exciting if you're holding BTC. What does this mean for anybody who's playing altcoin markets aggressively, as I know many Token Metrics customers do?
Well, the cycle usually goes, Bitcoin takes a stab upwards, starts moving, and then once Bitcoin hits some resistance in that price exploration stage, people look to take profits. But because Bitcoin's made an all-time high, it's a vote of confidence. It's a bit of confidence for the rest of the market. So they can then take those profits into altcoins, right? So a lot of the Bitcoin is in price exploration. It's absorbing a lot of new money coming into the market, right? And as it absorbs a lot of new money coming into the market, new market cap, that's market cap that can shed into altcoins. Now, it's interesting this time around because what may be driving the price here is the Bitcoin futures ETF, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to my knowledge, you can't necessarily trade the Bitcoin futures ETF directly into altcoins like you can with raw Bitcoin on exchanges. So it'll be interesting to see how much of an effect this actually has on altcoins in the future. I think we'll still see altcoins run, even despite the fact that people that are buying the Bitcoin ETF probably aren't going to then take that money to speculate on altcoins directly with that ETF.
So, as exciting as the futures ETF for Bitcoin is, I was reading a lot of disillusionment on Twitter. Like the takeaway sound bites were basically, why can't we have an ETF that actually tracks the price movement of Bitcoin as opposed to the futures derivatives? And I think it was yesterday, I read a piece of news that says Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is actually preparing to transition into exactly that, an ETF that tracks the price movement of Bitcoin specifically. I don't know, Bill. What does it mean if Bitcoin is going to start trading like a stock?
All right, so this is the question of the hour, right? How is the ETF going to affect the way Bitcoin moves? So if it trades like a stock, it'll go up. I would imagine 5% in Bitcoin is equivalent to 1% S&P. So it'll move 5% and then it'll sit. Everyone wait for the dip. It won't come. It'll go up 5%, etc. Then, once some sort of FOMO goes in where you get like a 7 or 8% move, then you'll probably get 3 down days. Those will be your 3 days to take, whatever you can get in altcoins. Back to your original point, I think the reason why they made the ETF based on the CME futures contract, it's legacy and legacy. So CME's been around for a long time. They've got confidence in the clearing mechanism. In other words, they can move money from winners to losers. They don't have to worry about like Coinbase freezing up, creating a problem with inequity, So as American retail mutual funds and central banks pile into the ETF, it'll probably start trading more like a stock.
Intriguing. So as we're talking about derivatives on Bitcoin being traded on the legacy market, it makes me think about crypto derivatives being traded on the crypto market. I'm thinking specifically of PERP and DYDX. Now, Bill, I know you and I both have a crypto analyst that we like on Twitter quite a bit, and he is a messenger for these two coins in particular.
Right.
Is there any relationship between a Bitcoin futures ETF and any future performance of PERP and DYDX, for example? Is that maybe that's too thin of a connecting line, but it's kind of an exciting idea to me. What do you think?
Well, perp and DYDX are going to be for the niche players that love leverage, right? So perp and DYDX may see increased volume because it may be easier for traders in crypto to be levered long BTC the way it's easier for equity market investors to be levered long FANG stocks, right? So if Bitcoin is this slow moving kind of one-way freight train with the occasional dip, you can take your leverage from 3% to 7%, right? As the trade goes your way. So I think people that offer leverage, like I don't know if FTX offers leverage, but I know that token's taken off like crazy. So it's going to be easier for people to be levered long the cryptos that really track Bitcoin.
Gotcha. Guys, I'd love to go around round robin style and have us share the circumstances of when we first bought our very first Bitcoin. I'll happily go first. I was a technology reporter working for Business Insider in 2011, and I put $100 into Bitcoin just because it was like a cool thing that people were talking about on Twitter back in the day, and they still are today, of course. Can't exactly remember how I parted with that $100, but I know that I no longer have that $100 in Bitcoin. I'm sure it would be worth quite the healthy multiple of that nowadays. Jacob, what were the circumstances of you buying your first Bitcoin?
Yeah, so I mean, I hate to say, but the first time I bought Bitcoin was like January 2021, so it's very recently. However, I have been tracking it since like 2017, 2016. I just didn't really know all about it. I didn't know what it was. I just heard it. It was when it was trading around 300, went up to 17,000. I'm like, wow, this is so exciting. But I never got my hands on one. I wish I did, which I think most people looking back did. But yeah, I purchased one at the beginning of this year. Not one, purchased
And
some.
when you bought it, were you thinking of like this is a speculative investment, or what was your thought process on pulling that trigger?
Yeah, I think I was really into legacy markets, and I was like, I just need to get exposure to this new fascinating cryptocurrency, this fantasy world, and I'm glad I did. I made a Bitcoin address wallet. I printed out all my key phrases just because I really wanted to get the actual experience of it. So yeah, it was. I'm glad
Forrest,
I
what
did.
about you, man? Who, what, when, where, and why when you bought your first Bitcoin?
Yeah, so I've always been an altcoin degenerate. So first got into crypto when I had no money back in high school, and I really wish I would have had some money back there and had the foresight to actually buy a lot of crypto. But my first Bitcoin was probably bought through Coinbase.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, wouldn't even be able to tell you the year, but to date myself a little bit, I moved that Bitcoin over to an exchange called BTC-E, which got in trouble for laundering Bitcoin. And they had some altcoins on there. That's actually where I bought my first Ethereum. So I bought Ethereum for $12 to $13 a pop and bought 40 of them only. I wish I would have had money back then to buy several hundred or several thousand, but I didn't. And also notable buys around that time were Feathercoin and Purecoin. So those are clearly not really around anymore, but always been an altcoin degen. I'd like to, I stand by my decision to buy Purecoin. That was like the first we saw of proof of stake, and now proof of stake is just about in every altcoin that we see. Just so happens that Purecoin didn't make it.
Gotcha. Bill, what's your Bitcoin origin story? When did you buy your first Bitcoin?
All right. Well, I bought some right before the Texas Bitcoin conference, which was this wonderful and hokey experience in Austin, Texas. I bought more Bitcoin when I bought art that contained a barcode that actually had Bitcoin you could get from the art. The third purchase was the one that was a little bit more epic. I was working for a crypto research firm at the time, and I was invited to speak at a conference. And I was going to be presenting what you would know today as the market update. But when I got the program, it was called Trading with Bill Noble. So that meant they expected me to get up on the stage, buy low and sell high during a 20-minute presentation.
No pressure.
So I had to get on, I VPN'd into BitMEX, Binance, took the cash rent reserves, I mean, I had to have enough of it so that it looks like, oh yeah, let's play around with the small position parentheses, my personal emergency account. Luckily, I talked them to going back to the market update, but that was called buying Bitcoin in a hurry.
Gotcha. I so now feels like a prime opportunity to plug the Crypto Hot Seat interview show on Token Metrics TV. I was shooting an interview with a guy yesterday who is purportedly the youngest Bitcoin millionaire. He was buying Bitcoin in the range of $10 to $12 when he was 12 and 13 years old, and obviously that paid dividends in the future. So I'm really curious about the mindset of these kinds of people who, first of all, were lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time, to have the wherewithal to be aware of this thing called Bitcoin that was claiming to be the future of money. And then second part of that, they actually bought into it and believed it. I guess I regret not holding on to that $100 of Bitcoin I bought 10-ish years ago. If I have a question, I think the question there is for Forrest. Forrest, is this, we're at an all-time high right now, but is this a new floor? Does Bitcoin just continue going to the moon from here? Is it foolish to be buying now?
No, I don't think it's foolish to be buying now. I think the risk to reward ratio, and we've talked about this a little bit on Crypto Foresights, so go check out Crypto Foresights on Token Metrics TV.
Right on.
The risk to reward ratio is still good enough to warrant buying in this market. Obviously, there's a lot more risk buying in the bubble that we are in than there's than there was back when Bitcoin was around $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 trading along its fair value trend line. So the risk is higher, but with what we've observed in past market cycles, especially with altcoins, there's potentially a lot of meat left on the bone this market cycle. Of course, nothing's guaranteed whatsoever, and there's risk that we go back down to that trend line. If we went back down to that trend line, Bitcoin could come back down to $30,000 without hesitation. So I wouldn't say this is guaranteed to be the new floor. We hope it's the new floor, obviously, but there's definitely meat left on the bone if we go into a period of rapid speculation. And if you just look at the macro circumstances, it's really conducive to a frothy, bubbly market right now, with the Fed just printing money like crazy, among many other factors.
So yeah, what has to happen? I guess this is a split question for Bill and Forrest both. What has to happen for us to get to a nice, round, sexy number like 100K Bitcoin? Obviously, a lot of people have to buy it and hold it, but what beyond that to help drive up the price?
So you have to have people aping into the all-time high to be able to continue to make all-time highs, right? So people have to be confident that it's going to continue to go up, and confident to a degree that they're willing to buy the all-time high. So one of the things that can spark that is breaking your old all-time high, right? Once you break that old all-time high, it's a vote of confidence, and you're probably going to see some nice price action following that up. But I think a large part of it is legacy adoption. What we're seeing with the Bitcoin ETF. If we get an actual ETF that's not tied to derivatives, not tied to Bitcoin futures, I think that could be another thing that pushes Bitcoin up higher. I also think we're actually know for a fact a couple of financial advisors who are actually being trained by large companies on crypto and Bitcoin right now. Right. So I think the people who are going to be buying the top of this market cycle are the long-term hodlers that are going to buy it based on the recommendations of their financial advisors to have a 3 to 5% stake or 3 to 5% allocation in their portfolio. Those are the people that are going to be buying it at 100K, because I don't know that the people that have been in crypto and are familiar with these market cycles are going to be the ones buying it at $80 to $120,000. But as soon as your Raymond James financial advisor, or as soon as your Goldman Sachs financial advisor, your financial planner has been trained up on crypto and Bitcoin, which I know they for a fact, I've talked to several of them, they are getting that training right now. As soon as they say, hey, you have $1.5 million in your retirement account, we should consider putting $50,000 to $100,000 of that into Bitcoin as a store of value and a hedge against inflation. As soon as that starts happening, that's another source of money that can be fed into Bitcoin, regardless of where the market's at. Because what they're going to say is, right, this is for the long term. This is for your retirement, right? Yes, Bitcoin's overpriced right now at $150,000, but we're just going to hold on to it as a hedge against inflation. And this is, we're talking about your retirement account that we're not going to touch for the next 20 to 30 years. That kind of thinking is how somebody can justify buying Bitcoin at $150,000. And then, we continue to see the speculation go up. And that's how, in my opinion, this market cycle, we see Bitcoin reach those new, quote unquote crazy numbers. Somebody has to come in to take the torch and buy the all-time high and be the quote unquote dumb money. But what's interesting is, in this case, the dumb money would be long-term hodlers retirement account. It's just not so much dumb money, but late money.
Yeah, fair enough. Bill, do you have anything to tack onto that?
Sure. So in legacy, investors have a couple of philosophies, right? Buy high, sell higher, right? That's what worked in the FANG stocks. So I think, if you go back to your economics textbook, like the demand for Bitcoin is inelastic, meaning higher prices are not going to drive buyers away, because people's attitude, like one of Schwab's investing principles is ignore the noise, which is a nice way of saying if it goes down, buy more or just ignore it, right? Second thing that people may have to recognize is that people holding GLD or people holding gold may start dumping that or taking profits in commodities holdings and rotating that into Bitcoin. So you've got buy high, sell higher. That's one driver of price. You've got another group of people who, if it goes down, there's no leverage liquidation like there is in crypto. They're going to want to buy more. So if it goes to 120K and then comes back to 65, there'll be this whole horde of equities buyers. And then there's something that the cryptoverse really needs to get ready for, is in the sense that if altcoins suffer because Bitcoin goes up, sadly, the legacy equities market, because they're long the BTC ETF, Coinbase's stock, MicroStrategy, Galaxy Digital, and any other company that decides to start putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, they may wind up the winner. So everyone says the SEC has endorsed crypto. No, what the SEC has done is they've made the winners from crypto, they've transferred it from the people trying to play alts and DeFi over to people holding Bitcoin and crypto equities in legacy.
I mean, we said it a few times on this podcast already, but the secret is out, and legacy financial players, they know where the cool kids are eating lunch these days. It seems that way. And so now the question then becomes, how can they compliantly join the party? I've heard it described that we are in the middle of one of the greatest wealth transfers in human history. That is to say, as my parents' generation passes away and leaves behind their money to my generation, that's many, many, many trillions of dollars going on to the next generation. So if just some small percentage of that makes its way into crypto, I think that's yet another way that we could see this see Bitcoin's price shoot even higher and carry the rest of the market with it. Anyway, an exciting time to be paying attention to the crypto markets. What else do we have to talk about when it comes to Bitcoin and all-time highs? Anybody have anything they want to throw out there?
So households are flush with cash. You're talking about, an inheritance-based situation. If you look at what's going on in consumer goods, empty shelves may be a function of demand, not lack of supply. So Coinbase has 68 million users, and some of that money may just start piling into crypto indiscriminately. So there is a dual liquidity factor happening, and not a lot of people know that US households are long tons of cash. So once they stop buying sneakers or whatever they're wiping off the shelves, they may go to Coinbase. I mean, look at Coinbase's stock. I mean, it looks like an altcoin.
Yeah. You want to talk about aping in? I aped into Coinbase stock on IPO day, which I will never do that again. But this week, I had flirted with being back in the black on Coinbase stock, but it seems like this week I'm profitable and there to stay, at least barring some awful news. Anyway,
I'll never. You haven't been in crypto until you say, I'll never do that again.
Yeah, fair enough. Who knows?
It's like a merit badge.
So, what might be what are the legacy finance plays? If I want to play the stock market on Bitcoin all-time highs, what should I be buying? Probably Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, Coinbase stock. What else might make sense if you want to instead of buying Bitcoin or other altcoins? Because I understand that there are some people for whom they need a bridge to understand what's happening in crypto, and I think fiat, like legacy fiat, probably is that bridge. What else besides buying into this new futures ETF, Coinbase stock, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust? Is there anything else out there that's a legacy financial instrument that actually tracks crypto?
Yeah, well, Galaxy Digital, like Bill was saying, but there's also a few Bitcoin mining companies that aren't 100% correlated, but they track crypto because they're mining crypto. So you have Riot Blockchain, Marathon Digital Holdings, Bit Digital, Hut 8 Mining. So there's a bunch of mining companies that obviously have exposure because that's what they're mining for. So if you have a gold mining company, they're going to be exposed to gold prices.
Yeah, so I guess I want to throw that out there for any old school investors who have the strong enough sense to be listening to or watching this show. It is possible to have your finger in crypto without actually holding any crypto. You just have to buy the right stocks and build a portfolio around that. Anyway,
I think we can.
Guys,
I think we can talk more about the futures ETF because we touched on that. But
yeah, what you got, Jacob? Lay it on.
But I think it's important that we note is that the Bitcoin futures ETF, its debut was the highest ever first day natural volume of $1 billion.
Yeah.
And that's a big headline because that really shows the interest in Bitcoin in the ETF. So there was $1 billion in volume with 24.3 million BITO shares changing hands. And this is the second overall, which is behind BlackRock's US Carbon Transition Readiness ETF, which booked 1.16 billion in volume on its debut. However, that was unnatural because it was kind of driven by one giant seed investor. And then a few days later, the volume fell to 2 million to 6 million and a few days after. So it's not the first, but it pretty much is the highest volume in opening day. And that's huge. I mean, that's behind all the ARK Invest ETFs, all the other ETFs that come to mind. And this is Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin in a legacy market. And I think we had mentioned this earlier is that, well, when is there going to just be direct investing from ETFs into crypto? And I think this is a good stepping stone. I wish the SEC had immediately from the get-go allowed Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum ETFs that are directly invested in Bitcoin and Ethereum. But I think this hopefully paves the way for ETFs that directly hold crypto.
It seems to me that there's a certain inevitability about this kind of thing, and I feel like it will happen with certainty. The only thing that's uncertain is when will it actually happen? What are the in-between steps to get us there? And if we're definitely checking a few boxes on the way there.
Yeah, and
Bitcoin futures ETF seems like the big battle has been won, figuratively speaking.
For sure. And also on the way, there's about 40 other crypto ETFs, including Ethereum funds, that have been submitted to the SEC. The SEC is known for taking a very long time to approve these crypto-related ETFs. But for example, Valkyrie's Bitcoin future-based ETF is going to also join BITO on the New York Stock Exchange this week. Their ticker is BTFD, which stands for buy the effing dip. So nice little
memes matter.
Memes, yep.
Memes matter. Yeah. I don't know, guys. I think if we're going to put a fine point on all of this, it's just that this is a pretty exciting week for crypto. Pretty exciting week to be working for Token Metrics, where we get to simultaneously observe and participate in all this stuff. A morning like this morning proves that there's a genuine appetite for maturation and evolution in the world's financial system. And sometimes it takes 10 years or longer for a good idea to catch on overnight. It seems like the crypto train is only gaining momentum these days. I don't know. Should we just leave it at that, guys? Have we pretty well satisfied all-time high chat, I think?
Yeah, I think the only thing left to say is welcome to crypto. I mean, somebody out there is going, hey, I got to where do I get information? So if this is your information, thank you for listening to us and welcome to crypto.
Yeah. Let's plug a few Token Metrics outlets while we're here.
Right.
The one of your probably best first steps, check out the Token Metrics YouTube channel, where you can see live streams as well as clips from said live streams, along with this show and an interview show called Crypto Hot Seat. If you like what you see there, then you should definitely check out tokenmetrics.com. It's basically a subscription software service that helps you make money in crypto. It's I have previously described it as like a crypto roadmap. Nobody knows where it's going to go unless you have the right tools, and tokenmetrics.com is a pretty powerful tool for helping you figure out how the markets are going to move. You've got access to a wonderful television product with people like Bill, me, and Forrest, among others, hosting some TV content there. We've been waiting for you, so come check us out. Welcome aboard. With that said, I think it's time to wrap up another episode of Engine Room. So I want to thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, like, all that good stuff. We're here 3 days a week for you, and here's to many more here's to many more happy returns.